Thanks for tuning into our Edit Sesh. I'm Effie.
And I'm Dorothy, two passionate photographers from Hamilton, Ontario.
Join us as we dive into answering FAQs, share tips, and discuss life's moments, all while savoring the rich aroma of our favorite brew and working through our edit cues. Whether you're a photographer or a pal,
we're beyond happy you're joining us. Lame.
Love it. Hey, Dorothy.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going today?
Pretty good. So do you actually have any highs and lows?
Yeah, I always do.
Oh, okay.
My highs, I went to that photographer meetup that you couldn't make.
Oh, yeah.
I learned about film photography from Ray. She kind of did like a little bit of a talk.
Yeah.
And she kind of just motivated me and inspired me to start using my film camera again. She was showing us this like cheap little film camera. It's a half frame camera. Have you heard of those?
Yeah.
I didn't understand what a half frame was. I was like, so it's like half quality?
Yeah.
Because it shoots half of a frame, but I guess it doesn't work like that. Anyways, I was more inspired to just like start playing around with film, just like in my regular life, not like with my clients or anything.
Yeah.
Just like bring it to the park or like just take pictures of whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just for fun. So I think I'm going to start that. She was showing us her like entire setup of like all the cameras she has, and she just kept pulling them out. I was like, this is like Mary Poppins.
Yeah. It's definitely an addiction.
Yeah. She's addicted. So she just talked for the first hour, and then we got to talk to everyone else. We just mingled and drank and eat food.
That's awesome.
Oh, my other high is that we actually finished our closet upstairs. I showed you the other day. And I built that dresser that we won at the auction.
Yeah. I just think it's so cute how everything's folded so well. And it's like, yeah, just like, you guys are so cute.
I've definitely Marie Kondoed, but let's see how long that lasts.
Yeah. Like, basically, my drawers become like a hot mess. And then every couple of weeks or months, I have to like take everything out and fold it back up. And you're like, where did this come from?
Do you have any highs this week?
Yeah, I wrote some down.
Oh,
because I don't remember what they are now.
I just literally just look at my calendar because my calendar just has my life on it.
I got a new lens, which you were really rude about that. So
weird about it?
Rude.
Me?
You were like, arthritis.
Oh yeah. It looks so heavy.
Yeah, it definitely. It's not a wise choice, but I mean, whatever. I still have the old one. I can pop it on if it's like too much.
No, just use a harness. You'll be good.
Yeah. The other thing is really ridiculous is that I've started doing these like little walks in the morning after breakfast with weights.
Your hot girl walk.
Yeah. I mean, actually, it's like an old grandma walk because it's inside and I'm doing like these like little like step to the side and then cross over and then come back to the center. And I like, there's no weights in the workout, but I was like, I might as well add weights.
Yeah.
So I have these 2 8-pound weights, which is nothing. But thinking about like just the like motion of like lifting your camera, like I'm just like, I gotta get in shape.
Yeah.
It's like there's a month left until wedding season for me. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this every single day and like hopefully, I don't know, straight up die in May.
Yeah.
But I probably will. My other high was my fave podcasters are pregnant, which maybe seems like a weird high, but they're kind of the first podcast I ever listened to, and they often talked about how they were unsure if they wanted kids. I think because they often were like, we're not sure. I kind of like was like, there's always room for something to happen there.
Yeah.
But I also didn't think it would happen so soon because I think she's only 31. Mm-hmm. But it just really resonated with me because I was always back and forth. Mm-hmm. And I think even listening to their podcast after they announced, she was talking about pregnancy and she was basically like, it's like crap how much the girl goes through and the guy just sits there. And I was like, I know we're going to be on the same page of like how we felt, how it's really hard, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
So like I'm just interested. I'm actually like just interested to see how their content evolves now with this additional piece. I think it'll be really funny and really relatable for people with kids.
Yeah, it was like more relatable for me before
because they had a dog.
Because it was all just like making fun of how everyone is always pushing them to have kids.
Yeah.
And it's just so relatable to me. Okay, so Dorothy, this week I really wanted to ask you more about your foster story.
I was just wondering, I don't know how much you really know. I feel like we've actually never really talked about it.
No, I think I may have briefly saw a video that you put up that someone made
Yeah.
about you.
Yep.
It was a long time ago. It was like a couple years ago.
Back in the day, I did a video for Foster Care Week, and then after that, I ended up talking at CAS for people who, I don't remember what the program's called, but it's basically you're going to be fostering, so just giving foster parents like some insight. It was actually a very, like, I always say vulnerable really incorrectly, but it was like, yeah, it was really like raw and real, like, and then recently I was at a wedding where a spokesperson for another like foster care CAS or CASS, or sorry, it's CCAS.
What does it stand for?
One is the Catholic Christian Association or whatever, and like one is just the regular, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know which one I was a part of, but yeah, she was mentioning that there's a program for like, I guess, overachieving foster kids that basically come and talk to like other foster kids. She was like, oh, you would be great for that. And then there's like an age limit. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm already older than that. I was kind of fine with that because I don't think I'm an overachieving foster kid. Like when you look at my life, you're like, you're just regular.
I mean, you're like a success story.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I'm just like a regular human, which is kind of still a success, considering that a lot of foster kids end up, all over the place in different facilities and FASD. They don't go to college. Like the statistics are really high. But the candidates for this program she was talking about, like one was a doctor. I think one was an astronaut. Like I was like, yeah. I'm just a photographer. I use like 3 buttons on like this like little machine.
They're the overachievers.
Yeah.
Just like in life in general, it doesn't even matter that they were foster
they were just
kids.
Regular overachievers. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I fit into this. Anyways, yeah, I was basically brought into foster care when I was 3, which is a very young age. Sometimes I think back and I'm just like, man, that's crazy.
Were you born in Hamilton?
Yep.
So your mom had you and she kept you until you were 3?
Yeah. So that's the other thing that I was actually recently thinking about this month. Because Maisel is 15 months old, almost 16 months. She would have had Tara, my older sister, and then 15, 16 months later had me. Mm-hmm. Which that's insane for anybody to go through.
Yeah.
Not to mention that my mom was an alcoholic. So I think just taking care, and we have an older sister as well, so I think just taking care of all of us was obviously she wasn't equipped for. And I'm not sure of her story. I've never really talked to her about it, and she's at the point where she's not very like lucid, and I haven't seen her for a bunch of years. So I don't think I'll ever get those answers as to like what happened. I've spoken to my biological dad, and in the past year he's like said he has regrets of like not being a good father. I mean, nothing's changed and I'm an adult now, but I feel like as he's aging, he's realizing a lot. So, but yeah, so I entered foster care at age 3, and my older sister actually lived with me in the same home. We were brought to CAS the day before Halloween. And we lived together there for a couple of years. I don't know, I think grade 4, my sister and I were split, and it's because like she just had a lot of stuff going on and it was too much for the foster home to keep both of us, which is really unfortunate because splitting us up, like we really didn't get to have a relationship. Like we still went to visits together, but we, like, after we were split, our lives really went a different direction.
You went to visit each other, or you went to visit your mom?
They would pick up Tara and then come pick me up, and then we'd come down to downtown Hamilton, and either we'd see my mom or see my dad.
Oh.
There was, like, a chunk of years where they didn't know like where my mom was, and she wasn't available for visits.
Right.
And then she like came back into the scene, I think, when we were like in school. But the whole time we were mostly having visits with my dad. Mm-hmm. And at first they're supervised like in a facility, and then they were home visits. So I believe on the day that we were taken and put in foster care, our neighbor, the story that I've heard is that my mom had to like ran us a bath and then passed out, and our neighbor came and grabbed us, and like basically there was neglect and took us to CAS. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to like really confirm stories. Now your file at CAS is open, so I could go get that and like read everything, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to.
Right.
But it was definitely interesting growing up, because I remember like not being able to go home and being really sad, but just like really not understanding that, like people being like, oh, you can't go home, and I'd be like, why? You know? Mm-hmm. I think because we were so young, it's like, how do you explain that to a kid?
Yeah.
So that they fully understand. There's so many things that like even now I still remember. Like once my sister and I were split from the same home, they would often drive her to her home in Paris, and then they would drive me home, and I just lived up the mountain. So it was a really long drive for me, and it was always dark because we probably went home around like 7. And the driver is a volunteer, so they're not paid or anything like that. And she would always play Animal Crackers by Anne Murray, and I hate that song.
What so is much. It? I don't even know if I know it.
It's like animal crackers in my soup, lion, tigers, loop the loop. Like it's like weird that I can still sing it.
Yeah.
And I just hate Anne Murray's voice. Like it's nothing against Anne Murray. It's like it brings you back to a time where you can feel emotion, you know? And I'm just like, this singer makes me sad. So I don't want to listen to that. But it's like this like woman that's singing like little kid songs.
I know. I don't know if you're going to get into it, but the foster family that you're at this point, have you been to more than one foster families, or was it just the one?
Yeah, so I actually had what you would call a good foster experience, because I was there from age 3 until I aged out at age 18.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what were they like?
Yeah, they're really great. They had 5 other kids.
Of their own,
and I was the youngest by like 5 years.
Okay.
So it felt at sometimes I was growing up as an only child, and I also was left out of a lot of things. So it feels like you're half in the family, but like not fully in. Yeah. You know, it's like really weird. It's like you're on the outside looking in, but you get to be around. Mostly because like there's things like, if they went on a family vacation, like I often didn't go. I would go to like what's called a respite home.
Oh, why?
It could have been a number of things. If you're Crown Ward, maybe it was like they didn't get the approval from my biological family, or it could have been like, just they weren't allowed to take me, probably is the answer.
Yeah.
But it's like that maybe wasn't explained to me, and it just felt like you can't come.
Yeah, like they didn't love you as much.
Yeah. And then growing up, obviously, like there's some things that their kids got that I didn't, which it makes sense. But at the same time, when you've lived there for so long, it's just like, it's weird. So I remember trying to get my license, and I basically had to like set that all up. I had to make the money to pay for it. I had to get to class on my own and book everything on by myself. And then I saved money for a car. Meanwhile, like all of their kids, like they would just get the old car and they were helped, which it makes sense, but it still doesn't hurt less. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's just some things like growing up in a family, they'd be like, oh yeah, of course we'll help you with this. So yeah, there's like just like simple things that just don't sit super great.
Right. I don't really know much about like fostering a child, but do they get paid to help you, and like, or are they wealthier people?
Yeah, so they are paid. I don't know how much it is. I don't know if it's more if you have more kids. I've never really looked into that, but yeah, you do get paid. I mean, I would say like they're maybe like middle class, but they had 5 kids, so you know, it's expensive. My foster mom, besides taking care of foster kids, like didn't work. So it was her main job, and she's great. Like, she fostered over 100 kids.
Wow.
She did it for a lot of years. I was their last foster kid, so while I was there were other foster kids that came and went.
Yeah.
Whose names I can still remember, and some have reached out. But yeah, it's definitely, like, I can see as an adult how it would be hard to, like, help raise these kids and then, you know, see how their life might go. And I think a lot of them, from what I understand, haven't had a good experience.
Yeah. So there was more than, like, she has 5 of her own kids,
Yeah.
and then she would foster kids throughout.
Yeah, I think there would usually be like 2.
So there'd be
foster kids.
7 kids in the house at once.
Yeah, but by this time, like, her kids were teenagers, right? Like, they
Were they
weren't
living?
under, like, 10.
Yeah, but were they living in the house?
I mean, I think they were in and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just, like, trying to picture this living situation, and, like, I'm picturing a giant mansion. Or, like, were you guys sharing rooms?
So when my sister was there, her and I shared a room together, and then their house is just up the mountain, so it's like a little bit bigger than like a regular downtown Hamilton home. Like, maybe it was double the size of your house. So the upstairs had 4 bedrooms, and then the basement had like 2 that they converted. So
Right.
their 3 oldest boys were in the basement. The 2 girls had the upstairs room, and then I would share with whatever foster kid, basically.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah. It was interesting, and I think I went through, like, elementary school, you know, like, no, like, just living life, and then I think as I got older, it was, like, more apparent that my, like, life was different, and I actually went to a private Christian school. So everybody was, like, their families were basically perfect. And from my knowledge as, like, a young kid, it's like, oh, they have tons of siblings, they're all together, and they have a mom and a dad, or, you know, they have parents, and they're all together. That's normal.
Right.
And to my knowledge, I was, like, the only one living in this, like, weird situation where I got to visit my parents. And yeah, as I aged, like, it was, like, something that made me feel obviously different. And once I left that school, I realized that a lot more people have a lot more things going on, but it was kind of, like, a little bit, like, sheltered, I suppose, to, like, the same type of people. And then also in grade 9, my foster brother actually died by suicide. So that was something that was really hard for the foster family. And it was really hard for, like, obviously, like, me to go through. It was, like, something I didn't really understand. And we didn't talk about it a lot. And obviously, like, my family was in a lot of pain over it. So just, like, navigating all of that on top of my already, like, very interesting life. I worked really hard to get into college, and I don't attest it to myself because I just had really positive role models. I think, say what you want about, like, private schools, I think a lot of those kids were motivated to go to college, and so it was just like, I'm also going to college. I never really questioned it, and I saw a guidance counselor a lot. Like, I was, like, one of those kids that was, like, always talking to them, because I think also, like, maybe I didn't share a lot with my foster parents. Like, it's interesting. I don't know if just all kids are like this, where they don't really talk to their parents, but you could talk to, like, a complete stranger about your issues.
Yeah.
And obviously was, like, no different.
Yeah.
So I was able to go to college, the first out of my family. Yeah, the trajectory of my life just changed from then on. Obviously I met Ruben, we got married, and that's pretty much it, I guess. Like,
Amazing.
I don't really know what else to say. Like, I think a lot of people meet a foster kid and they think, or a previous foster kid, and they think, like, oh, you're normal, which is kind of fair. Like, it makes me really sad to see like the situations that moms will put their kids in, and it's like, what can you really do? Because fetal alcohol syndrome is worse than actually being like addicted to drugs, because you can actually not detox, what's the word when you like withdraw from drugs. So babies can actually like withdraw from drugs, but fetal alcohol syndrome is like an effect that will last forever.
Wow.
So I just ended up getting really lucky that I don't have any of those symptoms.
Yeah.
Even though my mom was an alcoholic.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's really bad. Like, I would say majority of the kids in foster care probably have it.
Wow. So how does that affect them? Are they just like extra cranky?
No, fetal alcohol syndrome is actually really rough. I think like you often don't know right from wrong. You have like a lot of like social like problems. Sometimes you're aggressive.
Right.
And aggressive as in like that's hard to explain. Like, it's not like you're beating people up, but it's just I should actually just look up the symptoms, because
yeah, that's interesting, because it seems like one of those diseases where like there's so many different negative side effects, but like you wouldn't know what it's from.
Yeah.
Or just like you're like, yeah, this person's like cranky and mean, and like,
yeah,
no, he has fetal alcohol syndrome.
Yeah. So it says symptoms is like low body weight, poor coordination, hyperactivity behavior, difficulty with attention, poor memory, difficulty in school and learning disabilities, and speech and language delays.
Right.
And there's like a whole list more.
It's crazy. I wonder if it could be diagnosed like medically. Like, how do they diagnose that? Is it like in your blood? Or they just like assume because your mom was an alcoholic?
I actually don't know. It's probably based, like, I know usually your head shape might be different. And there's a few other key factors, but I've never really looked up like how do you get diagnosed or whatever.
Interesting. Well, I'm really happy that you don't have it. Congrats.
Yeah, I lucked out, won the lottery.
And your sister's good too, right? No, does she have it?
She's actually going through the process of getting tested. And I don't know if it's like a spectrum, like, you know, right. ADHD and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I was reflecting on this week as like I knew I was going to share, and I was saying to someone like I've always wanted it not to pigeonhole me, because I feel like I did luck out, and it's not like I, you know, all of a sudden did something really grand with my life, but I even look at like running a photography business, getting my driver's license, going to college, like these small little like milestones I feel like are actually really big like hindrances for somebody in foster care.
Yeah. You own like multiple homes.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously like Ruben's help.
Yeah, but still, like, you're just killing it in life in general, like more than people that haven't gone through all that stuff too. So good job.
And then, yeah, once having Maisel, it's kind of just like, I don't know if this is important anymore. And I was talking with a friend, and I was like, I think it's because the postpartum journey that I've been on is so new and fresh that I'm like, oh, foster care, that old thing, that old rough part of my life. But like, obviously, I've now been out since 18, and it's been pretty good. And like the transition from foster care to like real life is really rough. And like, I just wish there was more like support for kids. And I don't know if they've made this change over the past years, because I haven't really looked into CAS, but having a kid basically be on their own at 18 is like young. And I remember having a job and thinking, like, while I was in high school, while everybody was like so excited, I just remember being like, I have to save all of my money, and because I'm going to be out on my own and nobody's going to be taking care of me soon, and I won't have anybody.
Yeah.
So like there were like big feelings like all of high school. And even like I've talked to my mom on like my foster mom on multiple occasions about how, like what I was like as a kid, and she told me this one story that I used to like hide food in my pockets because like I was worried I wasn't going to get fed.
Yeah.
And that I used to steal like cans of food to like give my dad because like I was worried they weren't being fed.
Oh my god.
And it's just like simple things like that where like you're just like growing up and you're just like you're not sure if you're safe.
It's just insane to me, like that mental load that you had growing up.
Switching gears here.
Switching gears, let's talk about
our main topic.
Our guest. Or our main topic. Are we talking about our main topic? Or is our guest talking about our main topic?
Yeah, I feel like they're so intertwined. And I simplified it to like being ethical and a work mindset. And I feel like I think we do both those things well. Like we're aware of like what we can do. We try to be really ethical where we can be and like work better. And I think the conversation with our guest will bring out a lot more. So that's why I was like, I don't really have much for us to say, but I did have this like community posting that I was gonna read.
Okay.
It's by Immersed Education, and it's like their post said photographers stop complaining. And then it says basically that we chose this job.
Yeah.
And they go on to say, like, no one is forcing you to take photos, and it's totally normal to be tired after a hard day's work. But, like, remembering who our audience is and being, like, a little bit more aware. Like, when we have, like a high workload, posting, like, this, like, big edit session queue and, like, who's available and, like, complaining about how tired we are on social media, but then like booking another session and like filling our schedule to like the max capacity in the fall.
Yeah.
And it says like you're not a slave to like what we do. Unlike a lot of other professionals, like we chose to do this.
Yeah.
And we set our schedule.
Yeah.
So,
and like it's totally fine to be like working all the time, but like you don't need to just post about it on social. You don't need to complain about it. You don't need to like try to make anyone feel bad or like try to gain sympathy by it. So it is confusing when people do that because like this is a dream job. Like we've worked so hard to be able to do what we love and then just complain right to the people that are making our jobs possible.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
And I think it started in a good place where people were like, this is where I'm at in editing. So just like if you know I am working, you know.
For the edit queue.
I'm getting things done. This is where you are on the list. This is when you can expect your work. But I think this post goes on to say like it kind of makes them feel less special because they're just like a name in a list.
Yeah.
And I actually love what you do where you actually just will post basically that you're done or you're working on it and you'll tag them. So instead of like looking at like a long list of like where am I at in this list, you're showing people one, you're working, and two, you're tagging the person being like, I'm working on this and here's
or I
your
just
gallery.
Finished your gallery. Go check your email. Yeah. It's like a little excitement. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
So it takes like the like complaining aspect out and more of like a
excitement. Yeah.
So that's like the work mindset piece that I like thought was really interesting that they posted about this. Yeah, just like it's just like a new trend that like photographers have, I know I've always noticed, especially like in the fall, like, and I get it, we're tired, and I think Jules, our guest speaker, will have a lot of insight to this, because I mean her studio name is Goodwell, and I think she has a really great like work-life balance. So yeah, if you want, you can read your intro or the intro.
Her intro?
And then we can give her a call.
Okay. Jules from Goodwell Studio is passionate about design and communication. She's coming to the table with years of design agency experience and a desire to do things a little bit differently. She launched her design studio as an alternative to this fast-paced corporate culture, prioritizing a slower, more intentional client approach with one-on-one focused attention. As a result, when working with Jules, you get all the benefits of agency-level expertise with the undivided attention of a small studio. She's actually also getting married this year, so we can ask her some things about her experiences with wedding planning and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so it like perfectly ties into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to give her a call right now.
Okay.
Then
Hello?
feedback.
Hi.
What the heck? It's just my phone?
Yeah, we're good.
That's so weird. Okay, well, problem solved.
Problem solved.
You need to do like a blooper reel.
Oh my God. It would literally be endless.
Speak for yourself. It would just be us bickering.
Anyways, let's get to it.
Yeah.
Jules, I just read your intro. I just learned a little bit about you because I really didn't know. I thought you were a website / graphic design guru, but
She is still.
you are.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was like a whole package. Like,
Oh, Jules is the whole package.
I know she's the whole package. But
She's a snack and a happy meal.
Oh, wow. Thanks for hyping me up, guys.
it just sounds like such a great overall experience to work with you.
I do have like a pretty broad background creatively. So, and like my experience before Goodwill Studio was in like a creative agency setting, and we would do all sorts of things. So we would do like anything from product design to like shooting commercials. So yeah, I feel like my background creatively is pretty broad. So right now, yeah, I focus mostly on like brand and web, but obviously all of those things influence the way that I do my work now.
We should tell the people how me and Jules know each other. And it's basically because I interviewed for a job that she got.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think Dorothy and I were not really friends first.
yeah, she was like the cool girl that I was like, I can't believe she got that job. And I was like, I was actually like intimidated by her.
What was the
And
job?
I think
To be fair, it was at the creative agency. To be fair, I did not know that she had applied for this job.
Yeah.
So when I met her and I introduced myself and I said like, hey, this is where I work, this is what I do, I had no idea she had these feelings.
Oh,
And then I stopped being a graphic designer because I sucked at it anyways. And so now we're here where we are and it's perfect.
that's perfect. And now you're like best friends.
Yeah. And now I have to basically message her every day about my website.
Dorothy is a star client, though. She takes all of my advice and puts it into practice, and at like an insanely fast rate. which
Wow.
Yeah.
is just
Good job,
mind-boggling.
Dor.
Yeah.
Nice. And she's like, she keeps saying that her website is working for her. Like things are going, she's getting more hits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is that all because of you, Jules?
Yeah.
I mean, I've given her a lot of advice that has contributed to that for sure.
Amazing.
And I'm like tracking it behind the scenes too. So it's exciting for me to see the progress too.
Yeah. I always tell Jules, I was like, a win for me is a win for you. I'm so lame.
Good job, team. So, Jules, I want to ask you more about your studio. First of all, that's a cool name, Goodwill. How did you come up with that name?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not super complicated. Yeah, when I was naming the studio back in 2021, I just kept coming back to like these two themes, and one of them was just that I wanted it to be a space that, you know, celebrated things that were good. Good things in life, good art, good people, being good at your craft, good stories, just good, positive things. And then the second part, I just wanted it to be a space that like encouraged well-being as well. And that's going to look different for everyone. And I found that for me in that time, just coming out of like a really intense job where I was working like pretty long hours and just kind of sacrificing some of my well-being in that area, it was really important. And then, yeah, I think just like at the time of my life too, there were some big things that were happening, some big shifts in my personal life. And then, yeah, I had some like health stuff going on too. So well-being was pretty high on the priority list. And it just changed the way that I was working. So I noticed that like a lot of people around that time, like post-pandemic or mid-pandemic, we're kind of all bumping up against those same questions too. So I felt like that was, a name that also resonated with people who aligned with those sorts of values.
Right. I love that.
Right before you jumped on, we were talking about, like being ethical in our businesses and then like what our work mindset is. And you touched on like life balance. And I know that's really important for you, like work-life balance. And then I was just going to ask, like, what practices do you have in place to make sure like your day is balanced? And I know you also have like a list of work or like goals that you map out for like your month ahead. So I don't know if you could talk about like both of those things.
Yeah, sure. I think just in general, some things that I have set up within my workflow or the way that I kind of approach my work is just really clear communication with clients on like what they can expect in terms of how they can contact me or like how we're going to work together, what the timeline is going to look like. So I am pretty upfront with people when I say like I am not going to be answering your emails on the weekend unless it's like super urgent. I'm not going to be. I take phone calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I try to like keep boundaries around client communication pretty strict. Like I don't answer Facebook messages or Instagram messages. I'm strictly an email girl or a call girl. So I think being able to lay out boundaries and just clear expectations in a really respectful way from the beginning is a good way to protect that. And then, you were asking about how I like lay things out every month. So at the beginning of the year, I basically like come up with all of my goals or like the vision that I want for the year. And obviously things shift. They shift around, but at the beginning of every month, I basically I have like an online portal on Notion, which I love. And I go through and I take all of those goals and all of those like projects and fill them out within my month. I basically just try to space things out in a way where I'm not trying to do too many things at once, because I think that's the other thing as like a creative. We have like shiny object syndrome. And I remember you were saying this to Dorothy just about like all the things that you could do on your site. You could just like try to do them all at once, but it's not possible. And it's not good to be, overloading yourself. So like to be able to protect that capacity, I just have like things that I want to do now, but I have scheduled for like May because it's just impossible.
Yeah. Oh, that's so smart, because I feel like I'll come up with ideas and then I'll feel like I have to do them right away or else I'll forget them.
Yeah.
But that's actually a good tip to just like schedule out your whole year.
I think we have a similar mindset.
Yeah.
Because like if you looked at me like 2 months ago when I started doing my website, it's like it was an obsession.
Yeah.
But now I'm like at the point where I'm like, wow, okay, I can slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Like I'll pull like all-nighters for like a week trying to like make my website exactly how I want it.
Well, there is something to be said about like riding off of that energy too, because there are moments where I'm like doing so much admin stuff and I just want to like flex my like design bones.
Yeah.
And I'll just take an afternoon and I'll just like design a website because I just need to like get it out of my system.
Just a random website? Like it's not even an actual client's or anything?
Well, I usually use that time to create my like semi-custom sites. So I have like ideas in mind of what I want to make, but that's kind of that's a way that I get to play around and kind of make my own creative decisions, is like through that semi-custom.
Oh, that's so fun. What are you using for website building? Yeah,
so I'm primarily on like Show It with like the WordPress blog integration. So I like that. I've used a bunch of different platforms. I know I'm still helping some of my clients on Squarespace.
She's laughing because it's me.
You're on Squarespace.
But as I'm like doing my blogs and stuff, like it does make sense, like this other platform that you're on, because it shows you like Jules was saying, like, when you build a blog and you do keywords and you write a blog or whatever, it tells you like how good your SEO is.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's such a like peace of mind, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just like doing this thing, but it's like, is it doing something?
Yeah.
So
That's what I use.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I use WordPress with like a Divi themes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because I'm using WordPress, I can also see the SEO thing. Like, you just want to be in the green.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like Show It is a really good option, because what I like to do with my clients is build them their site and then have it easy for them to make changes on their own afterwards. So something like WordPress and using a theme, it's a little bit more complicated than, like a drag or drop sort of situation. So I like using that because it's really flexible design-wise, but then it also has like the power of WordPress and all of those SEO tools built right in. So I feel like it's like the perfect marriage. It's a little bit more complicated than Squarespace, but
less complicated than
like,
just WordPress.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the right in between.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I got another question for you, Jules. As a bride right now and someone in the marketing industry, when you've been looking up vendors and venues, like from your standpoint, would you say having your investment and your price rate on your website, do you think that's a hindrance, or do you think that is like a positive thing? Because I notice for me, like, I feel like people will inquire more maybe, but that could be untrue, because people might be like, oh, I can't find a price anywhere. Like, I'm not even going to bother emailing this person. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it depends which route you go, like in terms of vendors, because I know like some venues, they like include everything within your package, which is really helpful. So you don't have to do any of that coordination. But I feel like most of the venues in Hamilton are pretty DIY, and so like that's the experience that I'm going through right now. And so tracking down information, it's like, I don't know, you have to like talk to 10 different people and try to get 10 different, like packages of information. So I think it gets overwhelming if, you can't find the information, or like people don't get back to you. So I don't know. I am definitely pro make your prices accessible, whether that's directly on your website in a public page, or if that's like something that you can easily download. I do think it's important. I think I've definitely had that experience where I've looked at somebody's website and I couldn't find the information, and I just didn't bother. I was just move on next.
Yeah.
Because it's like a hindrance, right? So
yeah, I felt the same when I was planning my wedding. Like, some of the people, like even some people, they just look expensive, and because they don't have their pricing on their website, I just completely didn't even contact them at all, just because like they looked expensive, or like they looked like they were for luxury clients or whatever.
right.
So at least like having a starting price on there or something is helpful.
At the end of the day, like, you have to fit it within your budget, and if you like somebody's work enough, you're going to rearrange your budget to fit them in, right? So just make it as easy as possible for someone to do that, I think.
Yeah, I have always been pro putting my prices on my website. And this year I actually, like, I used to have my starting price on my website for each of my types of sessions. But this year I just fully put on my entire pricing guide onto my website. So like, my client is going through my website and they can go through literally every step without even talking to me and book. They can go in and book their session and know exactly what to expect. What's coming after, like the invoice that's coming, the contract that's coming. Obviously, I do want them to talk to me, and people still do email me, but just to have like those repeat clients come and just be like, oh, I wonder if she's updated her pricing, and it's kind of the same still. I'll just book it in. I don't need to talk to her. I think just like making the client experience a little more streamlined and easier to book is just better on all of us.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm curious, like, question for you guys, because I have heard this question about putting pricing on your website come up, like from a photographer's side. I'm curious to know, like, What sorts of hesitations do you guys have on your side for doing that? Like, I know some people don't want to put their pricing on, but I'm just curious to know, why? What's the resistance?
I think because there are so many photographers in Hamilton, and then I think it's like there is competition, and I mean there's room for everybody at the table. I think for me it was more or less like I would love to have a conversation with you because I would love to work it out. Like, I don't want you to look at something and be like, can't afford that, goodbye.
Right.
And I think maybe more photographers will be like, this is just my price and it's unmovable. But when I actually put my investment pages up, I put it up as in like add and subtract. So like, I think it's pretty clear that we can obviously add things and subtract things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're not changing your pricing, though.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think a lot of people also would like to see stats. So they want to see inquiries come in. They want to see how many people are ghosting them. They want to see how many they're booking. So like percentage-wise, in order to get their pricing correct. So if they're seeing that they're not booking a lot, they might lower their pricing a little bit, or like just have the conversation with why you're not booking me. Are you booking me because I'm too expensive, or are you not booking me because you don't like my work, or you don't like the sample galleries that I've sent?
Yeah.
So just having that information, I think, is important to some photographers.
Yeah, because you can definitely build upon that. But also, like, our structure of pricing is so different, like Effie's to mine. Mine is like very basic and simple. Everything is like really included. Whereas like you have packages with like the amount of images differs, and then there's add-ons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we answered that super well, but it's just like,
No,
I think we did.
yeah, okay.
That's interesting for me to know too, because like when I'm creating websites for photographers, it's good to know like that's the kind of feedback that you're looking for from your clientele, or like the people that you're potentially missing, right? So
yeah, I think the key thing is at least to have a starting price, and like maybe even a little note that says, please message me for more information, or like we can like talk about it. I don't know what a good
It's like,
way of doing it.
I'm not going to give you a better price for exposure though. I should actually just write that straight up on my website. I actually can't believe people get asked that, because like I've never been asked that.
Yeah, neither have I. Well, no, I do get asked that all the time, actually.
What the heck? You're like, nah, never
Not
I
me.
haven't been asked that in a long time.
Yeah.
But I have definitely been asked that before.
Yeah, it hasn't. It has been a while. It was more when you're new and like people are trying to be like, this can be good for your portfolio.
Yeah. I don't do it for exposure. I do it for good exposure. Get it? Like, cause like a camera. That was like a really cheesy joke.
No, I don't get it.
It is awkward, like when you've been doing it for a while. Like I think I received a message like that last year, and I was just like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's just not the stage that I'm at.
You can't pay bills with exposure.
No, I do find though, like at least in my industry, like having tiered pricing or like tiered packages always helps.
Yeah.
Even just to have in my back pocket, like if somebody approaches me for a website and they want to do something custom, but it's not in their budget, I usually try to, talk to them about something semi-custom, and then even if that's like not possible, we'll work out something even more like custom to their budget. So like I have hard prices on my website, but obviously things can be negotiated. It's just been the matter of like what's going to be included.
Yeah. I think that's the word I was looking for, custom. So like when a client hears that we can make like a custom pricing, I think that's a little bit exciting to them too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Switching gears again.
Hold on. Buckle your seatbelts.
No.
Okay.
I was just going to ask you more about, your experience as a bride and like decision fatigue, and how you're navigating some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like my experience has been pretty good. We had planned our engagement to be over a year. on purpose, just because I knew there would be so many decisions to make. And then like chasing down vendors and like following up with people is going to take time. So it's been a slow process, but I do feel like, I don't know, as a designer, it's really fun to be able to design your whole day, like not just the visuals, but also just like the experience. Yeah, I think like, especially as like a brand designer too, I think, sorry, I'm like totally jumping into something else here, but it's just reminding me about like experience with brand design as well. It's not just about the visual experience and like creating a cohesive visual brand recognition. It's also about like how you communicate things. So right now I'm also like creating my own wedding website because of course I have to.
Yeah. I did too.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I can't do the knot. I have to just make my own.
Yeah.
And so I'm going through like how to communicate things on there, how to like talk about what people can expect from the day, how to, share that maybe I don't, maybe bringing your young children isn't a great idea. I know, Dorothy, you just posted a reel about like how to share that information, which was really, really good and helpful, I think.
Good job. You should sell that template after.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I will.
I was
rapid fire questions?
I was gonna say, instead of
question.
rapid fire questions, can we ask her like more about website stuff? Like maybe give us like your top must-have things for a good website.
Ooh, good question.
Whoa.
Thanks. Like, what are things that you typically see with clients that you're like, you got to fix this or you got to add this?
Yeah, I think the first thing is like the user flow. So the navigation, like if it isn't clear how people can navigate around your website, that's usually a pretty big problem.
Right.
Being able to like get to your contact, again, see like what your services are, see what your pricing is, how to ask about those things, or like what to expect. I usually find that websites they just don't have enough information on them. So that's like a big one for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like on an SEO side of things, like I've been chatting a lot about blogging lately, and Dorothy's really like picked up on that. But even like within my wedding experience too, like a lot of the information that I'm getting is off of blogs from either planners or photographers or the venues or other vendors, and that's been really helpful. So just really thinking about like, what does your client or your potential client really need, and how can you provide that information to them, and really just like build that trust. So I feel like, yeah, sometimes when I encounter a website and it's just kind of like information, really basic information without any, personality or any like really thinking about the client and what they might need. And like, it's really obvious to me when they're not inside their client's head. So, yeah, I think being able to serve people that way is really important.
Yeah. That makes sense. I really want you to look at my website now. Like, give me feedback.
Yeah, for sure. I can give you a little audit.
She'll be like, I'm unsure of what you're selling.
You're a photographer.
Just don't come back and say you should niche down.
No, yeah, I know you do it all, but I think I've noticed that you separate them really well, though, Effie. Like, I think it's admirable that you do so many things, and it's clear that they are different for different people. So.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jules.
That was a quick audit.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, rapid questions?
Real quick. Try to answer them as fast as you can.
No, not as fast.
Okay.
Just
it's going to be a long one.
She's talking for like 40 minutes. You're like, guys. Okay. Well, the first one is actually a long question. I was like, have you found any venue that you are vendor that you're booking their experience confusing? Like, have you found one?
Ask that question again.
Oh God. Have you found any vendor or venue booking experience to be confusing? Like, is there a specific one, like a florist or whatever?
Yeah, probably venues, to be honest, because yeah, I think I showed you like I'm super organized. So I have like a whole Notion page for my wedding planner and a section for the venue where I have all of these questions. Like, do they offer this? Do they have that? What's included?
I think Effie had that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I was trying to check off for every venue, and it was just really difficult. Either people didn't have that on their website, or it wasn't easy to contact them about it, or they took 7 to 14 days to get back to me, which is a little bit stressful when you're trying to nail down a venue.
Yeah.
That was a hard one. And I feel like that stuff is usually addressed in the contract after. Yeah. Which sucks because it's harder to kind of look at everything.
Yeah, totally.
Compare.
Especially at the beginning when you're trying to price out how much you should even budget for something like that. And when it's a DIY venue, it's like, okay, now I have to think about rentals, I have to think about catering, I have to think about all of these different things.
Yeah.
So just
much.
having those questions answered up front is just so much more helpful.
Yeah. I'm just having flashbacks to my DIY wedding, and anytime I talk to a bride, I'm like, don't do a DIY wedding.
I know. I know.
It's worth it. It's totally worth it, but it's so much
It'll
work.
be exactly how you want it to be.
I know.
But it will be a lot of work.
Yeah, I know.
Favorite part of the bridal experience so far?
Yeah, I mean, as much as that's funny after the last question.
I know.
As much as, DIY has been stressful, it's also been the most fun because as a designer, it is really fun to design every aspect of it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same. I was so excited. I got a Cricut.
Yeah.
I don't even know what else I DIY'd. We basically DIY'd my flowers. But it's just
cool.
There was just a lot of day of or day before or day after work. That was the majority of what I stressed about. It wasn't anything leading up to it.
Yeah. If you could change one thing in the wedding industry, what would it be?
Prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now that's every brand that I've talked to or every resource that I've looked at, a lot of people are keying in on this conversation about price.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that things are so expensive, the economy, everything that's happened post-pandemic. It's just it makes sense that things are so expensive, but it's also been really cool to see different opportunities out there for more accessible wedding experiences. There are a bunch of different pop-up options.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and even just what I would love to see is vendors providing at least some of them do tiered packages, but I feel making that really clear could be helpful. Catering is the biggest expense.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And obviously, if you're going to do a sit-down dinner, it's going to be expensive. Having a plated dinner is going to be even more expensive. But what are those options where you can still have, all of your family come? For me, that's over 100 people.
Yeah.
and also feed them, but also, try to be economical as well. So I don't know. I'd love to see more options like that.
Yeah. What we did for our wedding is we didn't do a plated dessert, and we just did a big dessert table, which it was good because we did have a day of coordinator who was able to put that stuff out for us.
Nice.
Yeah, and that saved us a bunch of money. But then we also just spent that money during cocktail hour and had an oyster bar. So we didn't really save money, but we're what are our priorities?
But you could do more. Yeah, you could do more cool things.
Yeah,
and I think that's like you said, what are our priorities? I feel like that is the biggest piece of advice.
And people don't always eat dessert.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Cool.
My last question.
Okay.
Is what is your McDonald's order?
2 cheeseburgers off the value menu every time.
Oh,
yeah.
Is the value menu the kids menu? Or is that
It's
different?
like the mixed picks or whatever.
Like a junior chicken, junior cheeseburger.
Oh, yeah. Cool. You can tell I'm vegan.
Yeah.
I don't go to McDonald's.
They don't have one vegan option, do they?
No.
Oh my gosh.
No. I think maybe salad, but I think their
No,
salad
no.
has cheese on it.
No, they don't have salad anymore.
Oh.
I went
French fries.
I went when I was when I had Maisel, and I was like, oh, I need something from the drive-thru. I'll just get a salad. And I went through and I tried to order a salad. They were like, yeah,
You want a
we
piece of
haven't
lettuce?
had that for a while.
Can you just put like lettuce and tomato in a bowl for me?
Yeah, it doesn't seem difficult.
Amazing. Okay. Jules, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, I hope you have what was I gonna say?
A good day?
No. I hope wedding planning goes really well for you. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions as a also recent bride.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I might have a few.
Okay, cool. All right. Have a good day, Jules.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Now that Jules is off the phone, do you want to say anything behind her back?
Could you imagine?
I want to talk more about this whole main topic that you're trying to make this episode.
Trying to make this episode.
I feel like we're talking about ethical photography or like being an ethical photographer.
Yeah,
but
we
like,
didn't
have we
actually-
actually talked about it?
We haven't touched on it at all.
Yeah.
Really. But I
We're
had
just
a
saying the
question.
word.
Yeah. I had a question for Jules and then I didn't end up asking it because I felt like that was long.
You can ask me.
But it's basically like, do you think do you know what being ethical is in photography, and do you think you are? And there's actually a post about it, but
Whose post?
I found it on, I think, Aftershoot.
Oh, nice. After shoot. Sponsor us.
What does it mean to be an ethical photographer?
Yeah.
And it says being an ethical photographer isn't about just following rules. It's about being a decent human being behind the camera, or like whatever it is that you're doing, and then how to do that. And it's about respecting people.
Is respect and ethic like interchangeable in this sense?
No, I don't think so.
I'm just confused. Like what? I'm not confused, but I'm confused on what we are talking about.
Maybe
like,
it's just like more like, what are your morals? Because like also like, okay, so we did that TikTok yesterday where we basically copied
yes.
people.
Yeah, and I hate doing that, but like that's the thing now, I guess.
So this is the question, like it's like, is it copying? Is it inspiration? There's a difference between the two, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think this is where it comes to play is like it says giving credit where credit is due. Mm-hmm. So essentially like we did copy them, and we did like, what's it called? Like a parody is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
And we tagged them in it and said like, we essentially redid what they did.
Because it inspired us, or we thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't just put that up as it was our own idea.
Yeah.
We credited
Yeah.
to the person who it's credited to.
Yeah.
So then that makes that choice like ethical and morally sound,
Yeah.
essentially. When you see work out there where you're like, oh, I love this shot of like a couple hanging upside down on a fence, and you go and copy that photo and you don't give that person proof.
Yeah.
You're literally setting up a shot exactly like somebody, and you're physically copying their idea.
Yeah.
And like I'm just saying like that's less ethical, and
Yeah.
you know, it's like morally questionable because you're just straight up copying somebody and their ideas. Now, if you were to do that same photo and essentially do it maybe a little bit differently and say like this was an inspiration and then credit that photographer,
Yeah.
I think that would be ethical and morally sound.
Yeah. It's true.
So it's just like questioning whether we are doing that.
Yeah. In my landscape photography little industry,
Yeah.
the way we shoot is it's commercial photography, and one client hires us and we shoot those photos for that one client. But say like this backyard was like the pool was built by one person, the landscaping was done by another person, the architect is a different person. Like and like the furniture and all that stuff. There could be like 10 different people working on this backyard, but the one client hired me to take the photos. So they're purchasing the rights to use the photos. Now, once they post the photos, another contractor that worked on the backyard can steal that photo and post it without crediting me, without paying me. So like that's a big part of what's wrong in the copyright industry and like why people are confused about it.
Yeah.
So like I do try to like reach out to all the contractors and be like, hey, I have these photos. If you want to, you can purchase them. Please don't steal them for anyone. And I just feel like people should know, like, don't just take a photo and repost it.
Yeah, because it's like such not a like tangible product where like it is and it isn't. But like as a contractor, they're like, I have this material and I put this much work into it, and it's something that's like physical for them. I think they just think like, obviously you would pay me. Like if I'm building you a gazebo or a shelf. Whereas like I feel like most people don't think like, I have built you this image and it costs set amount. Yeah. Now like your client could purchase the copyright for all the images probably and then give them across the board.
They can't.
Okay, so like, yeah, I was gonna say like,
unless they have like my permission,
right?
Which sometimes I will give permission, and if they tell me before, but like otherwise, I don't want them to just be sharing the images because I should be making money if other people are using my images to make money. You know what I mean? It's a hard thing to navigate, and I'm still trying to figure it out because it happens all the time.
Yeah, and it's so different too because in the wedding industry, for marketing. It's great when all the other vendors take the thing that you've made and then use it across the board, but they didn't pay for it. So it's interesting actually, in which scenario you want to go. Like,
like for photography and like maybe wedding planning specifically. So like the wedding planner would want to use your photos, but then there are instances where the wedding planner was like, I'll just bring my own photographer. But then you have this like conflict between photographers, like the main photographer is like, I'm the only photographer. Like you can't bring any other photographers on site. You'll get in the way. You'll ruin my photos. Yeah. Right. So like, it's hard to navigate in that sense as well. Like the wedding planner is just trying to be ethical and like not steal your photos. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's definitely something I don't think we've like really chatted about in the wedding industry. And then also it's just like really, I think the way it's set up is that most people are just willing to share those. I mean, recently I've been sharing venues and my images in a blog, and then I've had venues reach out and said like, we can backlink you or we can have you as preferred vendor. So that's another way of like getting paid essentially, because a preferred vendor, you know, people hopefully will go to their website and then find you, and then, you know, that's like free marketing essentially. So yeah, it's definitely like an interesting thing to navigate. And I would love to hear like more people, like other photographers' insight on that. So if anyone wants to email us,
email us at editseshpod@gmail.com. Do you want to finish off with what we're looking forward to this week? Is that what we usually do?
Oh man, we have so much fun stuff coming up.
Throw me my phone. Oh, nice. Good catch.
Yeah, I mean, April, I've decided like personally just to be more off. I have a few shoots here and there. We have a headshot exchange coming up, which is fun. And they're always a little bit of like, they're not a ton of work to book, but I'm always like, I just don't want people to cancel. And then it's like you're footing the bill, but I guess that's just like the price sometimes with planning events. And then also we're going axe throwing. Which I'm feeling nervous about.
Why? Are you scared you're going to hurt yourself?
I don't know. Like, I feel like some people are just good at it, but like when I've seen people do it, it's like it doesn't like go in the thing.
Yeah.
So it'll just be interesting. And the people we're going with, I think all three of you guys are really competitive.
Yeah.
And I'll probably suck and just be like, I don't know. I'll just watch you three.
Watch you be the best at it.
Oh, definitely not. I'm not
Could
I'm not
happen.
like naturally good at everything.
You never know. This could be your thing. You
Oh
could
my
become a
gosh.
professional axe thrower.
I
after
really
this.
kind of hope it's not my thing. But yeah, so that's gonna be fun. I've never done that.
Nice. I'm pretty good at it, so.
Have you gone?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I'm pretty much a professional axe thrower.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
just kidding. I think I've done it twice.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. The breeder that we picked up Juno from, they had a new litter, and I've become like their official photographer. So every time there's a new litter, I go and I take pictures of all the new puppies so she can get new homes for them. And she's also trying to rehome a couple of her adult dogs as well. So I'm going to throw my new 360 cam on that. I was just telling Keith, I was like, I cannot wait to get 360 footage of the puppies.
Yeah, like from like the grass.
Yeah, it's gonna be so cute. I was sitting here kind of drunk last night, and I was so excited about it, and I was telling him, I can already see it. I'm gonna go viral, and this is gonna be the best video I ever make.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited for everyone to see.
Speaking of viral videos, have you seen this like stupid video I posted?
The handkerchief.
Yeah, making napkins out of a tablecloth. Like people are all over the place. Like it's like somebody wrote like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard, but there's like over 2,000 likes. So I'm like, it can't be the dumbest idea.
No.
It's just been like really interesting to get the messages, and then also I'm like, don't engage because like then we're just gonna be fighting.
Yeah.
So it's like really interesting, like
Or you do engage just to get the engagement.
yeah. So
then you go even more viral.
one person did write like, this is the stupid idea ever, and I just wrote thank you.
Yeah, nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this was a fun chat, Dorth.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming over.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
All right, where can they find you?
They can find me at Effie Edits Photo on Instagram.
Nice. And they can find me at DorothyMay_.
And also follow our podcast Instagram.
Yeah, because we're super hilarious.
Super hilarious. You can see our viral videos.
30 likes.
Edit Sesh Pod. Follow us.